Hi guys, how you doing? Coming to you today, June 6th, 2025, Friday. Uh, a beautiful day today. Spent mostly indoors, avoiding the 91 degrees heat that we experienced. Um, but I did make a change. I can scoot a little this way, and you can see I installed an air conditioner today. So this one was like less than 200 bucks. So I don't know how well it's going to do once if it hits like 100 or above. But it's more focused on like this bedroom and this space. Um, so anyways, excited about that. I'm excited to like finally like get that in. And then, so, uh, yeah, so I still need to work on the van. Didn't get to the van today, but finally, late this afternoon, started working on digging a hole. So, like a Jiffy Lube or places like that, they'll have a place for people to walk in order to access the bottom of the vehicle and be able to work on it. So, look, by the way, like this, like video we're watching, it's uh, obviously a walking video in the rain, but it's in Korea, South Korea, through in a park there, and so I just thought it'd be a nice background today. Um, but anyways, like, do you have photos of the digging? Yeah. So I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm digging. Like it steps down, step one, step two, step three. And like the little dark part, that's going to be like the deepest part. So that's going to be eventually, basically that area is going to be about 5 or 6 feet deep, and then basically like I just drive our van like right over it, and then I'll be able to just work on it standing up instead of like laying down in the dirt. So hopefully like tomorrow I'll get that finished digging and maybe start working on the van itself. I need to do a flush on our transmission, and that's the next diagnostic step to to see if that fixes it. I think it's maybe 50-50 chance it'll fix it. We did manage to drive it out here, thank God. And but it was like kind of slipping. It was slipping a lot. Seemingly, it was kind of acting like it was low on fluid, even though I had plenty of fluid in it. It was actually overfull, which maybe causes problems. But it drove better when it was overfull. So I think it might be like, I think a pump might be have like rocks or something like blocking it from when we drove it in the flood, or when I drove it in the flood. Not we. My wife was next to me. She was not steering. Yeah, so like moving forward with that gradually. Honestly, it's nice to be at home. It's nice to like we've been spending a lot of time the last few months in most recently basically Prescott, Arizona, and then down in Peoria, Arizona, where the food delivery has been best. And so we kind of escaped the heat to Prescott, and it's an interesting town. It's got like a touristy side, and then like obviously like people live there. It's like it does get like beautiful. There's some alpine to the environment, some alpine trees, but those don't really hit in earnest until maybe 6,000 feet. So like kind of outside of Prescott proper. But it's an older town. It's a town that's been around for a long time. And so it has like this square with a courthouse in the square, but it's like a Roman style with like columns, and it's big and beautiful. And And then, like, if you've ever been to Jackson, Wyoming has its own like kind of downtown square with a whole bunch of like antlers that build this like four arches on the corners of the park and the square with like businesses like all around it. What Prescott has is like that, except the square is a lot bigger. It's at least 2 to 3 times bigger than the one in Jackson. But it's an oasis of cool, like that's for sure, in a sea of hot. Because pretty much every direction you would go from Prescott is going to lead to heat, except for if you drive towards Flagstaff. And so Flagstaff is like certainly like a bigger city, but it has an interstate going through it, so it has like a very like hectic feel to it, as opposed to Prescott, which is more like kind of down to earth, and it doesn't have a an interstate going through it. It's just a nice place for people to live. And so anyways, yeah, we're kind of interested in living there. Maybe not. I honestly still want to live in like Montana or something like that. We've been talking for years about like where to live, and we've been to like 35 different states, actually more than that, and haven't really found a place that we'd like to live. Prescott is maybe the closest to that. We did like, or at least I liked, I don't know if my wife liked it, Hayden, Idaho, next to Coeur d'Alene, was kind of nice, but like very expensive in Idaho. For some reason, the federal government owns like a ton of land in Idaho. And so there's that, and then there's a bunch of people from like California and wherever that like have moved to Idaho. And so like the prices for real estate in Idaho are like maybe worse than California in some instances. Like I think I've seen it at like maybe $100,000 an acre in some cases. I mean, it depends on the land. If it's on a lake, yeah, it's going to be expensive. But so we do like Idaho to some extent, but we haven't exactly felt at home there. And Arizona, like the land that we got, like I already mentioned, we got it for like $5,000, super cheap. So if you want a very inexpensive place to get land that's amazing for solar, today, I mean, it was partly cloudy today, but it's still charged. We have 6,000 watts of solar. It ran our like 450, 60, 70 watt air conditioner. It ran our crypto miner, so we got maybe 1,000 watts of crypto mining going on almost 24 hours a day, or at least as much uptime as possible. And so it ran those two things and charged 20 kilowatt hours of batteries, no problem. And so yeah, so definitely like come hang out here if you're awesome. If you're not awesome, stay away. But it completely different topic. I've been like, I was kind of sad today noticing the tiff between Trump and Elon. Like just from like maybe a sociological perspective or psychological perspective, I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, like I watched a video from Ben Shapiro that kind of gave a rundown of like how it started, but I remembered some like months ago when not Bitcoin, when Elon was getting involved with Trump, one of the comments he made was that he loved Trump, and it wasn't. I didn't get the sense that it was like, oh, I really like him. I got the sense it was more like I love him like a father or something like that. And so I looked through the different tweets that Elon had made. He he made a pretty incendiary one about Trump being in the Epstein files, which I like. Did Trump ride on Epstein's plane? Yes, he did. Did he get involved with minors on Epstein's island? I seriously doubt that. But so I'm watching this and I'm like, it's kind of coming across to me like Elon is hurt, because like apparently like a reporter in the White House had asked Trump something that led Trump to talk about Elon, and so Trump was saying things about Elon, and I think Elon got hurt about it actually, because like he had a terrible relationship with his own dad, because his dad was a monster, and then I noticed that there was an interview with Elon some years ago where the reporter mentioned how I think it was Armstrong and some other astronauts who were actually denouncing either SpaceX or Elon and saying that they were bad before Congress or something to that extent, before one of their committees, I think it was, perhaps. And Elon started crying, actually. He teared up during that interview, and so he was clearly hurt by these sort of like denunciations, or at least not positive comments by people that he looked up to. You know, he's running a rocket company, a space company, and so I think that Elon, honestly, I think he has some like pretty deep father wounds that need to be healed, and I think that Trump was going some extent to meeting some of those needs, because if you've observed Trump carefully over the years, he's a father. Like, he has a father's heart. Yeah, he can make mean comments and he can go ad hominem with people, but his family's still together, which you can't say about everybody, and they seem to still enjoy being around him. So, I'm coming at it from more of a psychological side rather than a political side. So, I think that Trump has a father's heart, and he can get nasty, but I think he prefers in person to be amicable and amiable and funny and personable. And I think he also has a gift for hospitality, at least to some extent. So anyways, I think what happened between Trump and Elon is like, Elon heard the interview, kind of the interview with Trump, where he was talking about Elon negatively, because Elon was saying bad things, not about Trump, but about the big beautiful bill, so to speak, that apparently is going to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. But if you're a student of history and a fiat currency, you know that there is no debt ceiling. That's only someone who is ensconced in the system of fiat would think that the debt ceiling meant anything. But if you look at like basic calculations, like I was looking at a tweet today where one of the guys I follow was showing calculations. If they cut federal spending by like 90%, I could be getting this wrong, but if they cut the federal spending by like 90%, it would still take like 40 or 50 years to pay off the debt. And 90%, like if you cut, that's just not going to happen. Like, people would be outraged that because they would need to cut, like Medicaid, Medicare. They definitely need to cut Social Security, which millions and millions of people depend on, but essentially is being financed by purchases of U.S. debt and bonds. not only through like Tether and other countries, but also our central bank, the Federal Reserve. But anyways, like I digress. So I felt sad seeing what I think was Elon responding out of hurt rather than like or like maybe a sense of betrayal. And because it's like first Trump was first Elon was talking about the big beautiful bill that Trump is a massive he's like put his full weight behind it. And then Trump talked about Elon personally, and I think that's like what hurt Elon, because Elon wasn't talking about Trump personally; he was talking about the bill, and so I was just sad to see that. I hope they make up. It seemed like things were escalating. Trump was suggesting that they could save billions and billions of dollars if they canceled all of SpaceX's contracts, or like Elon's contract, SpaceX. And he didn't say he was going to do it. He said that would be a way to save billions and billions of dollars. I think it was just a form of Trump brinksmanship in some sense, basically just like pushing back and kind of threatening Elon, which that's one of his negotiation tactics is threats. Or like he did the same thing with Kim Jong-un when Kim Jong-un I think talked about nuclear, and Trump said that he had a red button too, but it was bigger and more powerful or something like that. And anyways, I don't think it's a good look. I think it would have been better for Elon and Trump to hash things out privately, but clearly that didn't happen. There was a kind of a rumor that they were going to hop on a call today, but that was like a third or fourth hand source, so who knows if there was any validity to that. So yeah, that was sad to see that, but hopefully they make up. Like a lot of my community is the Bitcoin community, and Elon like he's still operating in the fiat system. Like Tesla does have, I think, over 9,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They had more and they sold some, and I think it's just been steady for the last some years. So I don't know if I would call Elon a maxi, a Bitcoin maxi. Like he certainly hasn't been an outspoken supporter of it. He has, I heard on an earnings call where he mentioned that it was like a robust system, or like a high quality system or something to that effect. So he's certainly aware of it, but it's just not his focus. So I think his framing for like him being involved in Doge and trying to cost cut, like those of us in the Bitcoin community were going like, hey, sounds good, probably not gonna work, but hey, give it a shot, hope maybe it would work. But I'm going, like personally, I'm going like as soon as the next administration comes in, they're just, even if by some miracle Trump didn't spend a whole bunch in his term, or Congress didn't spend a whole bunch in their term, the next administration or the one after that is going to keep doing it. But it looks like it's just basically business as usual, just in different sectors. Like, hey, like less money for woke stuff and DEI, but basically just as much money, it seems like, is going to be spent, if not more. And so Elon seemed upset about that, and upset about the big beautiful bill, which I don't think it's big or beautiful. But the thing is like the entire system is based on fiat and debt. it must necessarily be run on debt. If it doesn't continue to run on debt in fiat, it will collapse. That's how it works. Humanity has tried multiple times the gold standard, and the gold standard does work if people are willing to stick to it. But if people aren't willing to stick to it, there's no obvious law that stops people. And so when Nixon took us off the gold, it wasn't really the American people off the gold standard. It was during the Bretton Woods Accords. They agreed that the world currency, that at least most of the world currencies, or at least several of them, would be based on the dollar, and the dollar would be backed by gold. But then the Executive Order 6102 was issued and confiscated people's gold, and apparently at some point that ended. But all that to say that a lot of people, including Elon, are still operating on this idea that technology or politics can fix the deficit, can save the country fiscally, and that's just not true. And why is that? Because it still involves people, not protocol. And so that's why us in the Bitcoin community go, hey, like, Doge sounds good, it's not going to work. I mean, it'll work in some like tactical short-term sense, but when the cat's away, the mice will play. When for a lot of people, the idea of having a blank check to spend money, if they have that opportunity, they're going to take it. And that's how humanity basically has behaved in its own best interests. Like, I'm using that term loosely because it's very corrupt in some sense, but people are going to behave in their own best interests. And so that's why we in the Bitcoin community go, yeah, I mean, you can try to change it from within the system, but that system is designed to keep you in bondage, as like Jeff Booth would say. And so I've just been noticing a lot on Twitter, and I've done it myself, where we're going like, Elon, like, get on the Bitcoin standard, basically. Like, take your companies on the Bitcoin standard, go on the Bitcoin standard, and I've also called for the United States to go on the Bitcoin standard. Like, essentially, like with MicroStrategy, which is now called Strategy, and other companies that are going on the Bitcoin standard, the part of the way that's working is like when people or organizations that can't buy Bitcoin may want to buy the stocks or the securities of those companies or the offerings of those companies because they want to avoid volatility or whatever the reason, or they want exposure to Bitcoin but not Bitcoin itself for whatever reason. And so I'm just going, okay, the United States, essentially, if they went and bought 1 million Bitcoin or 2 million Bitcoin, if they bought some percent of the supply, that would implicitly be a backing for yes, the dollar in some sense, but it would essentially be them going on the gold standard, except not gold but Bitcoin. And so if they did that, at least at a large scale, like a meaningful scale, like we have what, 35, 6, 7 trillion in debt at this point. So if they bought like 3 trillion in Bitcoin, then essentially the greater the government is not materially being financed by taxes or tax revenue. It's a small portion of what actually finances the government. The federal government is financed by debt, by selling debt. And so, at the very least, the United States government should, I don't think they will, and there's been a lot of talk about a strategic Bitcoin standard, et cetera, et cetera. I'm seeing no material movement on that. Maybe there will be, I hope there will be, but as of yet, I've seen no material movement on that. No U.S. government acquisition of Bitcoin or getting into Bitcoin mining or anything like that. But if they did, if they bought 1 million, 2 million, 3 million Bitcoin, then essentially the countries and Tether and whatever institutions or whoever else that buys U.S. bonds, long-term and short-term, etc., would be getting exposure to Bitcoin through those bonds. And that would be an implicit backing of the bonds and to some degree the dollar by Bitcoin. And people might be more willing to, people or nations might be more willing to loan America more money if it actually meant something. Because right now it's just basically, it's fiat, which means force in some sense. And that force for some decades has basically been, if you don't buy our debt, we're going to go to war with you. And so that's a tricky position for Trump to be in, because he is doing his best to keep America out of wars. He's doing his best to keep America out of wars, but what that also signals is the United States and the past several administrations have essentially been using the fear of being the threat of attacking a nation that doesn't buy our debt to get people to buy our debt. But if a president comes in that's like, we're not going to go to war, or we're going to avoid war as much as possible, then there's going to be multiple countries that are the apparent demand for U.S. Bonds or treasuries or whatever you call it is going to go down, because that fear and that force isn't there. And I don't think that this is something that Trump, I mean, if he is considering it, I guess he thinks it's worth the price. But the demand for bonds is, I don't know it technically, but what I hear is that it's down substantially. And even during the most recent Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas, there were a lot of lawmakers or politicians that were talking about stablecoins, and essentially I think they're just following their incentives, because stablecoins, especially Tether, maybe others, are using the playbook of buying bonds and then using the interests from those bonds to buy Bitcoin and gold. That's what Tether's doing. I think it's a mistake to buy gold. I think gold is the new silver. Like for instance, historically, during the 1800s, for that 100 years, that a lot of humanity was actually on the Bitcoin standard. China invested in a lot of silver, but that wasn't what people were using. There wasn't a material silver standard. And so when people like Robert Kiyosaki say buy Bitcoin, gold, and silver, I go, diversification is trading winners for losers, as Michael Saylor famously says. That's a really bad idea, because it's why put 33%, why put a third of your wealth in gold and silver that are going away and that Bitcoin is eating? If you want to lose less fast, I guess you can go with gold, but as far as I can tell, the appreciation in gold is essentially by censors who are uncomfortable with digital money even though Bitcoin is actually the most real money that's ever existed. Um, so yeah, I think it's a mistake for people to go to diversify, like do your research, find the money, find the investment that is most worth it, and then go all in on that. And that's called a concentrated bet, and that's what my wife and I have done. Like the only things that we in a major way spend money on besides saving in Bitcoin are things that are more important than Bitcoin. Our own well-being, or traveling experiences, because we're the type of people who enjoy experiences more than things, and power production, because with power production we can sell the power for money, and we're literally doing that right now. I could show you over here in Cryptex what we're doing. So let's see if I can scroll down here. It doesn't look like it can. But you can see here we've got a rig running right here, and we have like miners running here. And so we invest like first is tithe, because that 10% is God's money, and that's the connection that God uses to bless us, and praise Jesus for that, because he does. Like we're making a decent amount of money semi-passively now, which is nice. We're not financially independent yet, but working towards it. So we invest in ourselves and our own well-being and what we enjoy, which is relatively modest. We're kind of like low maintenance when it comes to that. Like our idea of a good time is going to Panda Express and getting 3 helpings of like orange chicken or something like that, and like going to a movie on occasion. So we don't really spend the whole. We're not consumerists by any stretch of the imagination. Like I've been literally wearing. If you're a Bitcoiner, you'll appreciate this. If you're not a Bitcoiner, it'll be probably hard for you to understand. But I've been wearing the same shirt. Like this shirt is different from the other shirt that I would typically wear, that I've been wearing for like a year or 2 or 3 years straight now, and it's like worn. It's like it's ratty. It's like it's so bad. But that's how much we believe in sound money, separating money from state, but also like so in the interests of our self-interest, enhancing our household finances, because money isn't the most important thing by any stretch of the imagination. God, ourselves, and then each other, and then our kids, and then after that money. And so money certainly isn't the most important thing, but it is an important thing. And if the money that we're using is losing value day after day, like we just went to Winco recently, and the sandwich that we would usually get that costs $4.98 now costs $5.48, I think, $5.49, something like that. And that's inflation. Inflation, because of the money printing, is robbing the people who save in it of their future. Because it's like, okay, let's say I go work for $20 an hour, but that year the value of the dollar goes down. The purchasing power of the dollar on average goes down like 14%, which is, I think it's more like 20, like maybe 23 to 25%, because technology adds about 14% of value to the economy, and then there's another probably 7 to 8% on top of that, so that gets us into the 20s at least. So if I save money in the dollar, I'm literally losing like all that effort. If you think about it, all that effort that I put into that, and if I invest in blue chip stocks, or like my preferred investment before I got into Bitcoin was VTSAX and investing in index funds with Vanguard, and I made money there, but really the money I made was actually just kind of keeping up with inflation, and it wasn't liquid, and it could be confiscated by the government at any time. And so, like, for us, saving in Bitcoin has been life-changing. It's because it appreciates at something like 60 to 100% every year to 18 months. Our net worth doubled and enabled us to buy our land with cash, buy this motorhome with cash, and so it's enabled us to avoid debt, and like fundamentally, like Jesus is our hope. Jesus is hope, and so, but we live in the universe He created, and so if you look through Bitcoin, if you look through virtually anything that is of the truth, you find Jesus behind it. I mean, that's really the fundamental truth of the universe, and because it's by the wisdom of Jesus that the universe was made, and that's just scriptural. And so for us, like, Bitcoin is not our hope, but it is part of the hope that we believe in some sense comes from Jesus. And so it's we call it, or at least I call it, truth money. And so if the money that we make in some sense and save in is going to not inflate but deflate year over year, then not only am I not losing the time that I would have lost if I was saving in the dollar, like 20-25%, something along those lines, of the value of what I earned. Not only am I not losing that, I mean, what if we lived in a world where there was literally no inflation? Gas prices didn't go up, food prices didn't go up, medical expenses didn't go up, schooling costs didn't go up. What if every single year they stayed the same forever? Well, that's the kind of world that Bitcoin can bring. Not because Bitcoin in and of itself is special. It's because it embodies the first principles of economics, the first principles that God built into reality. And so it's a powerful tool, and that's what we use it for. Thankfully, Jesus is still our God. For some people, Bitcoin is their God, and that's not what we're interested in. We're not interested in making Bitcoin God. We're just interested in using a tool that doesn't lie to us on a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. And we're just not interested in that. So this all ties back to Elon, because he's still trying to work within the system with politics and technology. And that's the way that, like, Trump is working, and Vivek Ramaswamy, he says, like, the way to make progress with government deficits is to shut it down. Well, but then, okay, the next guy comes along and starts it back up, if there's a blank check available. So really the only way to stop government deficits is to propagate a tool outside the system that separates humanity from the printing press, from the money printing press. That's really the only way. So we in the Bitcoin community are imploring Elon to go on a Bitcoin standard, and I don't know if he gets it. Maybe he'll become disillusioned enough, or frustrated enough, or angry enough with having thrown his support and millions of dollars behind Trump and or the Republicans to get Trump elected, only to see the Republican Party and Trump just continue to spend indiscriminately. And I mean, there's some discrimination to it, but they're still going down a slippery slope, and that's not going to stop. So we're hoping, just to tie this all together, we're in the Bitcoin community. We're hoping that Elon will make that transition and start to short the dollar and save at least excess cash flows in Bitcoin, if not also take out debt and run a MicroStrategy playbook, financing their investments in Bitcoin. Because if I'm a company and I can take out loan, I can get other people's money for 1% a year, and my Bitcoin is appreciating at 60% a year. If debt doesn't bother you, then that's a great idea. Personally, debt bothers me. It doesn't feel good to me. But if it didn't, I'd be borrowing like mad against and shorting the dollar and going all in with Bitcoin, just because mathematically, the numbers continue to work. If it's appreciating at 60% a year, and I can get debt at 1 or 2% a year, or sometimes literally for free, if I'm a company, then yeah, I'm going to do that. If it doesn't bother me. But anyways, life is good. My wife's pregnant. John is our son's name is John. My wife is due September 16th, which is super exciting and coming quick. So we've been preparing for that. I got this air conditioner installed, and I'm kind of trying to get the motorhome ready, getting it cleaned up, and I need to work on our water system to get that fully fixed, because for some reason leaks started at some point and I'm not sure why. But we're excited about the future. My wife just finished translating the 10th chapter of my book, Benefits of Bitcoin. And here, I'll even show it to you. So if you want to check out our books, you can, and or our products, my wife has a few different planners. But here's our website. And for some reason it's showing it really big. Oh, well, maybe we can. There we go. Okay. So I have my book Benefits of Bitcoin here. Specific ways Bitcoin is forever upgrading life for everyone on Earth. And then I have my book The Nature of Reality, how to use the truth to free yourself from pain and suffering and get the life you really want while turning Earth into heaven. So clearly that's a mouthful, but it's true. It's true. I put my heart and soul into that book, based on what I've learned and what God's taught me and what I've learned from people. And but if you want to learn about the sociological, marriage, governmental effects, and the strategic and the societal effects of Bitcoin over the next 100 years, Benefits of Bitcoin is for you. If you're dumb and you don't want to be dumb anymore, you want to be intelligent, then you can read my book, How to Become Extremely Intelligent, the simple process for you to become a powerful intellectual force for good on Earth. And I have some relatively simple processes that you can employ regardless of what your IQ is, that can help you increase your IQ, EQ, systems intelligence, etc. That can increase intelligence in any area that you want, and that's important to do, because in some, like, IQ correlates. It's not exactly causal, but it does correlate with higher income in life. And like, one of my missions is to enhance people's personal growth, to give people the intellectual, psychological, spiritual, philosophical tools, very practical, discrete, actionable tools that that are not overwhelming, that are just relatively simple, that help to reduce the pain and suffering in your life, and help you to create the heaven in your life, what heaven on earth in your life actually looks like for you, not some other person's vision of it. Like, I'm not a proponent of telling people what they should do. I don't like to be should on. I don't like being given advice without people asking me. And so I don't like to do that for other people. What I like to do for other people is give them options that will help them get what they actually want. Not superfluous, hedonistic kinds of desires, but meaningful, purposeful, vision-inspired actions and goals. And anyway, so that's what my books do. My wife's books are relationally driven. She's adventurous, so there's adventure in the books, and so, like, quite relational. And then, of course, she has her supernatural baby planner, which I had some input on and helped to write a little bit of it. And then I've consulted just to help, like, develop the flush out the psychology of the characters in her books, because that's where I specialize, is in what they call personology, in some sense. Because I love people, but I not only love people, I love to understand what's going on behind why people and how people operate the way that they operate. And there's just a massive eternal world behind the different kinds of personality types and how God's designed people. And it's just, for me particularly, for most people maybe not, but for me in particular, it's really fun to get into the nooks and crannies, into the granular and the intimate of how people operate. And so that's super fun, and I like helping my wife with that. And I do also have my book, Abundance, Your Path Out of Poverty. And it's a small book. It's like, I think it's like maybe 24 pages, and that's like all the pages plus like the actual content. But the essence of that is in integrating the belief that you live in a world of abundance. And it's based off of a revelation that God gave me like some years ago when I was living in Bangbu, China, that changed my life, and essentially set me up to find the woman of my dreams and to make money in a way that works for me rather than what other people think I should do. And it's just been really powerful. But anyways, thanks for letting me plug our products. We really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your time. I definitely don't take it for granted. The videos I'm making, I want to materially serve you, even if I'm on the long-winded side. But I do have a few good things to say that will serve you in the long run. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter at Levi Writes Books. And you can also find me on Iris as well. Um, on, excuse me, on Noster. Not Iris is one of the clients, but on Noster, uh, something like Levi Johnson Net at iris.to or Levi Writes Books, um, and and so yeah, and then if you find me on Noster, then we can interact there, and we can like direct message and have some fun. But anyways, thank you so much for your time today, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.